Good evening, and welcome to Mo's channel. Yesterday, I spoke about how to start a business, a blueprint with details. So today, I want us to talk about how an African or a Caribbean can go back to their country and start establishing the pillars of a viable, sustainable economic system. In a prior video, I discussed exactly what these pillars are. Transportation system, communication system, energy system, financial system, risk management system, and legal system. Now, the legal system, that's something the nation has to put in place. However, in lieu of that, it will become incumbent upon businesses transacting with each other to exercise honesty. Now you say, well, how are you going to impose this on all businesses? It starts out simple as this. Let's say you have 5 businesses in an ecosystem. And you're a business, I'm a business. We do business together. We work with integrity. So if I tell you this will take me 10 hours to do, and it's going to cost you $1,000, I finish it in 10 hours and I charge you $1,000. We've now established that trust. We do that with another business, another business, another business. Pretty soon, you have a composite of businesses that are transacting with each other in an honest, trustworthy manner. Now, those businesses out there that may not be honest or reliable, that may engage in corrupt practices, this composite, we don't do business with them. At some point, they're going to realize, well, if I want to do business with these guys, I got to clean up my act. So it starts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 businesses. You form a collective, doing business with each other in a certain manner, and you make it a requirement for anyone to do business with you. They have to be honest, transparent, and have integrity. Pretty soon, it would infect the entire nation, such that business-to-business transactions, business-to-business commerce, is now free of corruption. But let me move to what you can do now in your nation. So let's start with the transportation system. The transportation system is vast. It transports goods, it transports people. It includes rail, it includes road, ports and harbors, bridges, air transport. All of that is part of the transportation system. How can you, a Ghanaian, go back to Ghana and plant the seeds of a viable transportation system that will successfully serve the economy of Ghana? Let's say there are 50 Ghanaians in America. I know there's more than that, but let's just say there are 50 Ghanaians in America. And they all come together and say, you know what? We're going to go to Ghana and we're going to start building roads. Good roads that could help the economy prosper. Now, you're not going to go out there and build 10,000 miles of roads. That's going to cost you a lot of money. You're probably not millionaires. You probably make $60,000, $70,000 a year. All 100 of you. But let's say you got together and each of you put $10,000 into the pot. So 10,000 times 100 is $1 million. That is your seed. How are you going to start? Well, you acquire some road building equipment. And I'd recommend you get it at auction. There are auction sites out there that will sell this heavy industrial equipment, this construction equipment for building roads, bulldozers, graders, and so forth, at significantly low prices. Some of it might be used. You get a mechanic. Hey, could you look at this? Make sure it's working fine before we ship it over there. So you buy the equipment, you get a container, put the equipment in a container, put it on a ship, send it to Ghana. When you get to Ghana, don't start off too ambitious. Start off small. Let's say there's a little city over here in Ghana with maybe 50,000 people. Start off with that little city. Build a road. It could be a simple 2-lane road. 1 lane this way, 1 lane that way. But make that road an artery. So it's connecting areas of commerce. So if there's an area over here that's industrial and manufactures product, and the city is over here, build that road to connect those two. Because what that does, it enables this industrial area to get their products out to market. When you build that road, make it a toll road. So every car that gets onto that road has to pay toll. After a while, you've collected enough toll, you have enough money to build a second road. Once again, a toll road. Then you build a third road. Then you build a fourth road. Your initial focus should be to connect the areas of commerce. So you might build a road. If we take a look at something like Kenya, might have Mombasa at the coast, Nairobi at the central. So you build that road to connect those two. That's going to enable commerce from the port to the city. That's going to enable transportation of people back and forth. And you're collecting toll. Build these major roads to connect these commercial centers and population centers. And then from the tolls you collect on those roads, then you start looking at building local roads. Now you start building roads in the major city. Now you start building roads in the minor cities. Once again, all of them are toll roads. It might take you 5 years. It might take you 5 years to deploy sufficient road capacity to satisfy the nation. But if you don't do anything, then 5 years from now, Ghana will still have the fucked up roads that it has today, which will impinge on the growth and development of Ghana's economy. But if you start off small today, build, in 5 years, Ghana now has high quality roads that can transport its people and its goods, and as a result of that, the economy prospers. You 100 Ghanaians that put in 10,000 apiece, in 5 years, you're each millionaires, if not billionaires. It starts small, and you build, and you build, and you build. So, get out there, do research on road building equipment. Like I said, everything is out there. Google, YouTube, anything you want to know, anything you want to learn is out there. Go to YouTube. Pull up a video on how to build a road. I guarantee you it's out there. It will show you all the equipment you need and how to use that equipment and the process of building that road. Then go to these auction sites. I could give you one auction site right off the bat. Copart.com. Copart.com. They sell a lot of industrial equipment. at auction at about 30% of market value. Research shipping costs. Talk to these shipping lines. How much would it cost to ship this bulldozer? How much would it cost to ship this grader? Note it down. Talk to the Ghanaian government. Tell them, look, we're coming in with all this equipment. We want to build roads, but we want to charge toll on those roads. We will build the roads. We won't charge you a penny, the government. You have nothing to do with this. We'll build the roads. We want to charge toll on those roads. We need you to enforce that toll. For this partnership between us and you, the government, we will give you 30% of the revenue we generate from the road. It's a process. Do your research. Understand the environment. One thing, you have no competition. No competition. The market requires this. So this is a product that will sell as soon as it hits the ground. Think about it. Let's talk about energy system. Now, with an energy system, you have the source, which is production, which generates the energy, and then you have distribution, which disperses the energy to where it's needed. Now, the source could be a coal plant, it could be a hydroelectric plant. You could get 1,000 acres of land and set up a bunch of solar panels, have those panels generate electricity from the sun, store that electricity in batteries, and then distribute it from that. Now that's DC, so you'll have to convert that to AC to push it out. You'll need transformers, because typically what happens is when you generate electricity at a source, you have to step it up in voltage to maybe 1,000 volts, all right? Then you transmit it across transmission lines. The reason you step it up in voltage is because if you transmit it at lower voltage, that means higher current, a lot of that energy will dissipate as heat. So when it gets to the target, you started off with 100 megawatts. When it gets to the target, you only got 10 megawatts. That's wasted money, wasted resources. So, and you can use a generator. You can set up a diesel generator to generate your electricity. Research solar panels. Research solar batteries. Research wind turbines. Although I would not recommend that because that's intensive in terms of the cost and the manpower required to build those. And if you're not in a country that has a lot of wind, it's a waste of time, a waste of money. Research diesel generators. Research coal plants. Research thorium nuclear reactors. Thorium nuclear reactors are better than uranium in that if you build a thorium nuclear reactor, the US or any other country can't say you're building a nuclear bomb because thorium cannot be weaponized. Uranium can be. In addition, thorium nuclear reactors do not put off the radioactive waste that uranium does. So it's a lot safer. Number one. And number two, you're not going to be deemed a terrorist. So you'll be able to put it out there. But these are the sources. Research them. You need transformers. Research transformers, their costs. And then you're going to need to get transmission lines. You're going to need to build posts to run those lines between. You're going to need line transformers. You're going to need line conditioners. So I'd recommend that either, if one of you is an electrical engineer who understands power systems, That's good. Have them design it. If not, go to a university. Find a professor of electrical engineering. Find a PhD student, a master's student, graduate student of electrical engineering, and tell them, look, this is what we're trying to do. Can you design this system for us? It might cost you $1,000, $2,000, maybe $10,000. But get a solid design. And then have them spec out. If you're going to pay them $10,000, have them spec out all of the equipment. Now that you have that, this is what I recommend. Just like in the transportation system, don't go to Botswana and try to, I don't know the cities in Botswana. Don't go to Uganda and try to provide power for all of Kampala. No. Start with a small section. Let's say Kampala has a population of 5 million. Find a densely populated area of that city that might have a population of 50,000. Set up your source, your diesel generator, your solar power, solar panel farm, whatever. Set up your source. Get your transformers, set them up. Then what you're going to do, you're going to plant posts. All right? So you're generating power here, you're supplying this area. So you'll have one major transport. It's better for failover purposes in case that main transport fails to have 2 or 3 alternate transports, big lines, feeding that population center. Once you hit that population center, now you're going to have to build posts to distribute that power to the different houses. All right? Now, you've got posts from the main source, main generation facility, to the main population center. You probably have a substation that will step that power down, and step that voltage down. Once it's stepped down, then you distribute it to the different zones within that population center, and then from there feed it to the houses. Okay? Of course, you're going to charge. All right, now, what I recommend, do prepaid. Do prepaid because you don't have the sophisticated legal system that this country has to enable you to go running around chasing your money. So, if you set it at $10 a month, $20 a month, they pay you $20 a month. Now for that month, they get power. If they want power the next month, they pay you another $20. All right? You're serving 50,000 people, maybe 1,000 houses, maybe 5,000 houses. Well, let's be reasonable. 50,000 people, if it's, let's just say 5 people per household, that's 10,000 houses that you're serving. You're serving businesses. All right? What you're now doing, you're empowering that section of Kampala to prosper. As you generate revenue from that initial site, from that initial geographic concentration, then enhance your source. So if you're putting out 100 megawatts, expand, now put out 200 megawatts. Now you could serve another chunk of Kampala. Get money from that, reinvest. Now you serve another chunk. Within 2-3 years, you're supplying power to the entire city of Kampala, Uganda. What does that do? It boosts the economy of that city. That is a capital city. If the capital city is thriving, it has a domino effect. And now other cities start to thrive. Once you're supplying power to all of Kampala, now you say, well, let's hit this other city here, and this city, and this city. In about 7 years, you, the 20, 30, 50 Ugandans, now own a power company that supplies power to the entire nation. It might have cost you $1 million to start up. There's 50 of you, each of you put in 20,000. In 5 years, you're now millionaires. In 5 years, your nation, your home, your country, Uganda, is on the rise. Is on the rise. Transportation, energy. Let's talk about communication systems. You have landline communication systems and wireless communication systems. Setting up cell phone towers can be prohibitively expensive because those towers are line of sight, and the signal radiated from each tower attenuates, which means it loses its power the further it goes. So you need those towers within a certain distance from each other. To ensure effective coverage and to assure that consumers can make their calls, you need saturation of those towers. So deploying cell phone towers might be prohibitively expensive. But there's another solution. Let's say you wanted to provide wireless coverage for all of Kenya. Well, what could you do? Wireless meshes. Wireless meshes are much cheaper than setting up cell phone towers. Wireless meshes operate on the same thing, on the same principle that your wireless internet access operates on. When you go to Starbucks or you go to Panera Bread or you go to Coffee Bean and Tea, or you go to the library, or you go to Barnes and Noble, or whatever. When you go to a public place and you connect to the wireless, there's a wireless access point. And your computer, your cell phone, has a wireless transceiver receiver. It connects to that wireless access point. And then from that wireless access point, it connects by landline to the internet. So within a city such as Nairobi, you could set up multiple wireless access points outside, maybe attaching the buildings, whatever. Now, when people make phone calls, they'll be making voice over IP phone calls across this wireless mesh. So by setting up this wireless mesh, this outdoor mesh, you've now wired the entire city of Nairobi. Anyone who wants internet access can get it anywhere in the city. Anywhere. You don't need to set up cell phone towers. For landline communications, you're going to have central offices. Central offices are where the subscriber lines terminate. They're also called local exchange carriers. Well, no, they're central offices, but they're central offices. Just leave it there. They're called central offices. So in a typical environment, let's say the US, you might have a huge city. But then within that city, you might have different blocks, sections of that city. Now, you might have a situation where within a 50-block radius, all the houses in that block terminate at the same central office. The U.S. numbering plan is 10 digits. First 3 digits are the area code. The next 3 digits are the local exchange code, and the final 3 digits are the subscriber number. So my number might be 202-351-7764. 202 is the area code. 351 is my local code. That indicates the central office to which the line coming from my house goes to. So everyone who has a number 202 then 351, they all terminate at the same central office. Now, if I want to make a call to, if I'm in California, I want to make a landline call to New York, that call is going to go from my home to the central office. Then from the central office, it's going to go on to what they call a trunk line. And all a trunk line is, it collects a bunch of different calls going to the same general location, puts them together, and sends them out there. So all people in LA trying to call New York, all their calls are going to go to the central office, and they're all going to be trunked to New York. Then from New York, it's going to break it down to the central office that serves the person that I'm trying to call. Once again, start off small. Select a distinct area. Let's say you're going to do the wireless mesh and landline. I'd actually recommend the wireless mesh because, and you could do it differently. In this country, the phone lines are buried beneath the ground, and the power lines are running above the ground. Now, in your nation, you could run the phone lines on poles to the subscribers. That's a possibility. Or get equipment and dig trenches and run the lines underground. Now, if you do that, you're going to have to dig up to people's houses and then run the lines and drop it at the person's house, and then from their doorstep it's going to be run into the house. Alternatively, you could trunk underground, and then when you reach the local, the CO areas, then you transport overground. Do a feasibility analysis. See what's more expensive, see what's quicker to deploy, see what's easier to manage. Alternatively, you could set up a wireless mesh. And then you have wireless meshes that serve specific zones, but then to connect those zones, you dig underground and you trunk that traffic. So there's possibilities. However, what you need to set up a communication system, you need switches. Switches are the devices within an ISP, within a carrier, a telco, that route calls to their destinations. So switch, I'm calling New York. My call hits the switch. The switch has intelligence to determine, to get this call to New York, I gotta send it out that port. So you'll need switches. You'll need telephone switches. You'll need IP switches or routers. You'll need transmission lines to transmit that traffic, to transport that traffic. If you're going to set up a wireless mesh, you're going to need wireless access points. And then you're going to need a wireless controller which regulates, controls what the access points do. Set that up. Start with a small section. If Nairobi has a population of 10 million, find a concentrated area with a population of 50,000. Set up your outdoor access points. Set up your central office. Set up your switches in there. Start providing service to that location. 50,000 people. Generate revenue. Once again, I recommend prepaid. All right? You could do it on bandwidth utilization. Pay $20, you get 50 gig a month. Or you could do it on a flat monthly fee. Pay $40, you get whatever a month. Set it up. Start small. Start serving that community. As you generate revenue from that service, build another mesh. So you got 50,000 now, hit these 50,000. To connect those two meshes, run a landline. That's your trunk. You generate revenue from that mesh, build another, and have trunks connecting them. Within 2 years, you could have all of Nairobi covered, such that people in Nairobi can now communicate by phone, by computer, get on the internet, whatever, reliably. That's going to promote business. That's going to promote the economy of that city. You've got Nairobi covered. Now you want to hit that of the city down there. Build a trunk from Nairobi to that city. Then within that city, set up meshes. The same thing you did in Nairobi. Get that whole city covered. Now target a third city, and a fourth city, and a fifth city. Before you know it, 5-7 years, you are now providing communication services to the entire nation of Kenya. You might have started off with $100,000. After 7 years, you're now a millionaire or a billionaire. After 7 years, you've significantly enhanced the economic viability of your nation. Transportation systems, power systems, communication systems, financial systems. 2 ways to go about this. Number 1, you set up a bank. This bank takes deposits. This bank makes loans. You make wise loans. You identify those industries, those sectors of business within your country that have potential